Today we're checking out the Modular Grille Guard in semi-gloss black for the 2021 and newer Bronco, but excluding Raptor. If you want your Bronco to look more trail ready and you want some real protection up front without committing to a full bumper swap, a grille guard like this is a perfect middle ground, so it's definitely worth considering. This grille guard is all about beefy front end protection and aggressive style along the way. In other words, it's gonna help shield the grille area from brush, branches, trail debris, and everyday bumps that can happen in parking lots or those tight trails. It also gives the Bronco a tougher and more armored look from the front, which is exactly what a lot of owners want once they start building the truck out with off-road tires, lighting, and other exterior upgrades. Another big feature is the modular design, and that's a big selling point because it gives you a more built-out look and makes the front end feel more purposeful. And it also gives you nice LED lighting points, so it feels like it should belong and not like you bolted something onto a part and it looks like an aftermarket afterthought. It also keeps things really practical, and this is for the person who wants protection and style, but still wants to keep the Bronco usable for daily driving and doesn't want to jump into a giant steel bumper setup. If you're wanting a cleaner and more aggressive face on your Bronco, and you want some added confidence when you're out on the trails or on the back roads, this is exactly why you'd choose this. When it comes to the construction on this, you are getting a very heavy-duty steel grille guard finished in this nice semi-gloss black powder coat finish designed to hold up against weather and trail use for years to come. The steel build gives it the strength to actually protect the front end, and the finish helps it resist corrosion and keep it looking clean for the long haul. Now, as far as the pricing goes on this, it's coming in right around the $600 price range. That's a fair price for a steel, vehicle-specific grille guard because you're paying for strength, proper fit, and the finish that's gonna hold up to the test of time, instead of buying some cheaper universal guard that can rattle, fit poorly, and look out of place on your Bronco. When it comes to the install on this one, it's gonna get rated just a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. You can get this job done in 1 hour of your time if everything goes smooth. So let's head on out to the shop. We're gonna give you a detailed walkthrough of exactly how this install process goes.
All right, for this install, you need a 3/8 driver, a 3/8 ratchet, a 19mm wrench, a 13mm wrench, 10mm wrench, a 13mm socket, 15, 16, and 18mm socket, along with a 4mm Allen and a 5mm Allen, along with a clip removal tool. Today we're going to be installing a grille guard on our Bronco. Let's get started. All right, the first thing we're going to need to do for our bumper is going to remove the front covers on the bumper here to get the mount for the grille guard. So there's 2 clips down here and there's 2 extra clips up here. We're going to remove it with a clip removal tool. We're going to pry open and pull the whole assembly out. And now we can pull on the entire plastic cover right here to expose the bolts. So these are our bolts that we're going to be using for the brackets. Once you get this cover off and all the plastic pieces off, you can repeat that for the passenger side. All right, next thing we're going to move on to the rad support shroud. We're going to remove a bunch of clips on here with our clip removal tool so we can get access to the actual rad support to bolt on some brackets for our grille guard. So we're just going to go under and pull these clips up. These clips that you have on your vehicle might be different. We've installed these due to previous installs. They might be just a little bit different, but same concept. There's one a little bit down here. It's kind of hard to see. Pop that out of the way. Got 2 in the center right here. All right, the last 2 that we have remaining is near the snorkel, the intake box right here. There's one deep down inside here, and there's one right on the snorkel portion. All right, now we can lift up on the snorkel here. pull the whole assembly out. All right, moving down to our bumper again, we are going to remove the 2 inner bolts for our hooks. We're just gonna get that off with a 15mm socket. And we're gonna save these off to the side, and we're also gonna repeat for the other side. All right, just a quick little note, our brackets are indicated with passenger and driver side. So we're gonna be mounting the passenger side like this into the factory spots for the D-ring. Using the factory hardware, we'll get one started. And the bottom one. Now we can tighten this up using our 15mm socket. All right, once you get these 2 bolts tightened down, you can now repeat the exact same process for the driver side. All right, now for our upper brackets, they are also marked passenger and driver. So we're gonna come through the front of the grille, and it's gonna lay right about there on the upper rad support. Now for our hardware, we're gonna take our 10mm nut and place it into our wrench and slide it just under, making sure not to drop it. And it's gonna catch right on the bottom of the upper rad support. And then we're gonna come through with our Allen head screw and go over top. All right, now that we have that threaded in a bit, we can come back in and tighten this down with our 4mm Allen head. After you get this side installed, you can now repeat for the driver's side. Now for our mesh insert, we're going to utilize the L brackets that go onto the accessory rail right here. And it's going to place just like that. First, we're going to start off using the hardware to attach at the bottom end. We can start off with our bolt and our flat washer. Go through the accessory rail. And also come back in with our flat washer, lock washer, and our nut. We'll thread that on here and leave it loose for now. Now we can come back over onto the mesh portion and line this up. Again with our bolt and our flat washer, another flat washer, our lock washer, and our nut. All right, once you have this situated where you want it and line everything up, you can come back and tighten this down. Now we can come through with our 13mm socket and our 13mm wrench on this end. Once you have this bracket on and the bolts tightened down, you can repeat for the other side. All right, with the helping set of hands or my trusty stool that I have here, we're gonna lift this up into position and slide it in so we can get our bolts on. All right, with that just resting there, we're gonna attach 2 bolts on the lower end. All right, now with this being held in place, we can start one, just to get a little bit more secure. Got our bolt and our flat washer on one side, and another flat washer and our lock nut on the other side. Now we can attach the lower bolt also, just to keep it more stable. Now we can install the same bolts on the other side. All right, now we can come back and tighten our top and bottom bolts that are supporting the bracket for the grille guard. We're gonna go in with a 19mm wrench on the nut side and a 18mm on the bolt head side. All right, once you have this side tightened up, you can repeat for the other side. All right, now we can install our upper support bolt right here using the button head Allen screw with our bolt, lock washer, and flat washer. Get this started in here. and we can tighten this down using our 5mm hex. Once you have that tightened down, you can repeat for the other side. All right, moving on to our wing attachments. We're gonna start off on the passenger side, and then we're gonna come through with our supplied bolt and our flat washer, and I'm gonna thread one in the middle just to get it started. And also come on the back end with our flat washer and our lock nut. Just let that hang for a second. Now you can come back in and tighten this up with a 13mm on the nut side and a 5mm hex on the hex side. Once you have all your bolts tightened up on the wings, you can repeat the same exact step for the driver's side. All right, now to install these covers back on, the directions do say to cut out a little notch right here for the bracket, but for demonstration purposes, we're not going to be cutting anything on our vehicle, so we're going to leave them off for now. All right, now we can install the plastic shroud cover for the radiator. All right, once we have that in position, we can now install all of our clips. All right, that wraps up our install for Modular Grille Guards in semi-gloss black for 21 and newer Bronco, excluding Raptor. Just remember, for everything Bronco related, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.